there's a lot to unpack in this video. Hits you a lot at the end. It's like a bomb drops. Prince of the Year, Pride all the way. You are setting them up for success here. Hi, hey, welcome back to my channel, Crafty Reads. My name is Safa, and today we are going to be happily ranting or complaining, or in simply terms, just reviewing literally my most favorite book this year and my most anticipated release, read, whatever you want to call it, and literally the book I rated 10 billion out of 5 stars, and it is none other than what you see here and by the title, Kingdom of the Cursed by Kerri Maniscalco. Now, Kingdom of the Cursed is a sequel in a trilogy urban fantasy series, which is called Kingdom of the Wicked, as you see here. Kerri Maniscalco is famous for also writing her other book, Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I haven't read those personally, but I have these. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And honestly, if you haven't heard of these, I don't know what rock you've been living under or what the heck you've been doing in your life. You need to pause this video, go start with Kingdom of the Wicked or Kingdom of the Cursed, whatever one you have left to do, and just go read those and then come back and join us once you're ready to complete this whole ranting and complaining and happily rejoicing about this book experience. Okay, so I'm going to divide this video into 2 sections. One will be the spoiler-free section, just general ratings and I guess overall thoughts. And then the second section will be my spoiler-filled section with all the juicy details about the second book, and even some including the first book. So if you have not read it, once again, please, please, please read it. Okay, let's start the spoiler-free section now. So, like I said, Kingdom of the Cursed is a sequel, Kingdom of the Wicked, which is an urban fantasy trilogy, following our main character, Amelia, who has just found out that her twin sister, Vittoria, which is brutally murdered in her hometown of Palermo, Sicily, where her family has grown up and they have her own restaurant. And the funny thing is that Amelia herself, she is a witch. And so, to get revenge and figure out who even killed her sister, she enlists the help of the mysterious demon prince, Wrath. He is one of the 7 demon princes of hell, and by nature, demons and witches are literally enemies. So it kind of makes this interesting enemies to lovers relationship, which you've probably heard about for so long. I originally picked up Kingdom of the Wicked last year because of all the hype surrounding it, and I heard it was like a perfect fall time read with enemies to lovers. Oh yeah, so the first book, Kingdom of the Wicked, I rated 4 out of 5 stars. Now, I did this because it was such a solid read. I really enjoyed it, finished it in a few days, and I felt like there was a lot of emphasis put on like the romance part of it. Like, you would definitely see this, but when I read it, I felt like, yeah, there definitely was some romance in there, but it wasn't the amount I was expecting based on all the hype surrounding it. So going into it, don't expect too much in the first book, but there is a good amount to make you satisfied and just yearn for more. Because the first book is more YA romance. This guy here, the second book, whew, it's been taken up a notch in that romance department. So you have like YA romance here, then you have adult romance, and then Kingdom of the Cursed fits in new adult, which is like sandwiched somewhere in between the two. So this book, I rated 5 out of 5 stars. Like I said in this intro, literally amazing, blew my socks off. I literally wanted to physically, mentally, whatever you want, psychologically, devoured this book. It was incredible. Not just because of the romance. I feel like there was a lot of questions unanswered and just made a lot of things more confusing by the end of the first book. But when they started this, Kerri had a plan, and it's clear that she definitely explained a lot of those details and answered a lot of those questions, which I'm so glad for. So there's quite a bit of plot development that goes on in this. And even though it appears subtle at certain scenes, it hits you a lot at the end. It's like a bomb drops. 5 out of 5 stars, really solid read. I can't wait to pick up the 3rd and final book next year. And I'm already going to pre-order it at this time. Yes, I know it's like a year in advance, but you know, I just have to because I'm just that kind of crazy fan. So this concludes my spoiler-free section. So now we're going to start the spoiler section. Where do I even begin with this? So I think the way I'm going to break this down in the spoiler section is just talking about this few and specific scenes that just really stuck out to me, or I just really enjoyed, or I want to rant about in general. Okay, so let's start off with the first thing. So to just catch you up, at the end of chapter 3, Amelia kind of contracts hypothermia. She freezes to death literally in the Sin corridor as her and Wrath are escaping. and Wrath picks her up and decides to carry her the rest of the way. And this part is literally one of the most heartwarming parts. I think at the beginning of this book, I was very untrusting of Wrath because I didn't know what his motives were. Because at the end of the first book, it was kind of like this guessing game, like, is he actually caring towards Amelia? Does he actually have feelings for her? Or is he doing it to pursue his own motives and goals? So that's what I was really trying to get at in the first bit of the book, because his character was just so enigmatic and so mysterious in the first. Like, we literally did not know anything about him besides that he was a demon prince, and yeah, that's literally all I knew, and that he's betrothed to Amelia. So that whole question about what the hell happened to their marriage bond, that was answered, and I'm so glad it was. That technically she's not actually betrothed to Pride, she was actually betrothed to Wrath, and the marriage bond is still intact. So that is like an ongoing issue, still is throughout this book, and apparently in the third book, because it has yet to be consummated. So yeah, in chapter 3 at the end, we get to that part of the Sin Corridor where she collapses, Wrath picks her up, and she says, or asks him, "You said you wouldn't take care of me," and he responds, "I lied." I feel like I want to write, hold on, let me just actually tell you, like, recite the scene, because my version doesn't sound nice. Okay, here. "You said you wouldn't what? Wouldn't what? Take care of me. You said you wouldn't." He didn't respond, not that I expected him to. He was not soft or kind. He was hard and rough and fueled by rage and fire. He understood battle and war and strategy. Friendship wasn't any of those things, especially one involving a witch. I was a mission to him. I promised he made to his brother. Nothing more. That I understood, even if it stung deep. I had my own goals, my own agenda, and I wouldn't hesitate to destroy anyone who interfered with my plans, even him. Sleep finally wrestled me into its embrace, and I relaxed against Wrath's body. Maybe he'd surprise me by sneaking us into House Pride through a secret entrance to avoid any nosy demons. I could only hope he'd grant me some mercy. From somewhere far away, I could have sworn he whispered, "I lied." Like, I think it was at that moment where I started to trust Wrath again, to see that he actually does have feelings and emotions and cares about Amelia. Because, like I said, we were just playing a guessing game in the first book to see, like, if what he felt was true. And so now we can see that there is. The next thing I want to touch about is the skulls. The skull left with the message in Victoria's voice in Amelia's room at House Wrath. That was interesting. Honestly, I was like, how is it in her voice? I just thought Envy was just playing a trick on her at first, because, you know, her and Envy always had this tumultuous relationship that was just really funny at times. So I thought it was him this entire time. But turns out it actually wasn't. It was Antonio placed it, but it was actually Victoria who said it. Like, she's actually alive. And that was like, what the, whoa, pause. We spent the entire first book wondering who the hell killed her. Even in like 3/4 of the second book, we did too. Only to find out that this girl's actually alive this entire freaking time. And all those moments Amelia could have spent with Wrath, she gave up for her mission. If you know what scene, I'm going to go over that scene too, because that pissed me off. Next part I'm going to talk about. Honestly, I can't talk about having a review of this like book without talking about that damn lagoon scene. Like, you know what happens. If you don't, I suggest going back and reading it. It's around page 150. I'm not going to recite it on camera. Are you kidding me? It was spicy. It was intense. Literally, me reading it, I could not form coherent words. It was so hard to like have like logical thoughts or even say something that like was logical. Like, my mind was numb. I was like, I did not expect something like this early on in the book. Even though it's like almost 1/3 of the way in, I would have expected something like this to happen near like the last quarter. Because usually authors do this where they like put the most juicy stuff at the very end to like draw the story out and that kind of thing. And I was thoroughly surprised. So thank you, Kerri Maniscalco, for putting that damn lagoon scene in. If you notice, I also tabbed it. So all the pink tabs is like all those romancy spicy scenes. Like, I could talk about, you know, Amelia went to Envy's house and she learned about the cursed tree, about writing a person's name and everything, but that's not the juicy details you want to know about. I feel like it was interesting in a sense that Wrath kind of dropped the bomb on her that she's actually betrothed to him instead of Pride, which is funny because that should also imply that he's actually the king of demons, because she technically did sign that deed that says like I'm betrothed to like the king of demons or whatever. But like I clearly didn't put two and two together. I don't know how. I guess the lagoon scene just completely like put my mind somewhere else during this entire thing. So I wasn't even paying attention to like Wrath's identity. Just those cute moments, to be honest. Oh my god, I want to touch on like how much of a sweetheart Wrath is in this book. Like, I did not expect him to be like this heartwarming type of sweet character who's like trying to be good for Amelia. Like, yes, he made mistakes and some of them were, you know, a little shocking, a little bit uncomfortable. Especially that whole training scene, the first one, where he made her disrobe and that kind of thing. That was a lot. And I feel bad for her. And she clearly was a little, you know, disturbed by it too. And she got angry with him and she told him, you know, she got so pissed, like, don't you dare do something like that to me without asking first. And then she's like, I was like, girl, yeah, you put him in his place. Like, what the hell? Like, you can't do that to someone. Like, I get it, like, he's trying to help her to, like, ward off his brother's, effects on her, but, like, that's a bit drastic, to be honest, for a first training session. Oh yeah, the food! How can I not talk about the food in this book? I honestly did not expect them to, like, be talking as much as they did in the first book about food, but I'm so glad they did. So Wrath said, he told, I think, Anir, or, like, one of his servants to go bring back food from the human realm to the demon realm at his court, which was so cute because he knew Amelia loved cooking and like that kind of thing. And so Fauna brought her down to the kitchens where she made pies, bruschetta. Oh my god, that one scene where Amelia was making the bruschetta after that whole incident where she was in the bathtub and someone came to attack her. Honestly, that's a Vampire Diaries like reminiscent scene. And after she was just a little disturbed by it, she didn't want to go with Wrath to figure out who it was and deal with that. And hold on, let me find that scene. Okay. So I'm just gonna skip some of the parts because it can be a little long. So he asks, do you wish to accompany me? I shook my head, not meeting Wrath's gaze. If there was a house cowardice, I'd probably be the queen of it. It takes enormous strength to acknowledge your limits, Amelia. His hand trailed from my temple to my chin, then gently lifted it, so I looked at him. A true leader delegates, just as you're doing now. Never doubt your courage. I certainly don't. Oh, that was so sweet. Like he's very supportive of like what she does. Even when she doesn't go through with certain things, I feel like even then, he's just always like willing to help her out in some way. And I really love that kind of, it's not necessarily character development. Actually, I think it is. Because according to Fauna and Anir and like all these other servants, they say that Wrath technically wasn't supposed to like do all these things for her. Especially in the Sin Corridor. He was supposed to abandon Amelia when she first came and leave her to her own vices. But he helped her out. He went through the Sin Corridor with her and took her to his mansion when he shouldn't have done any of it. And I was like, so that food scene where Amelia's just making bruschetta and he comes in and he's like, can I help you with anything? And she's like, I already did everything, but you can just pour some wine. So he did that and then she hugs him. Okay, next scene of importance. I mean, there's the whole training scene. Wrath gives her the dagger to protect herself, which I'm really glad for. He trains her, although the first time was a little disturbing, but we talked about that already. The rest of the times, some very interesting methods of training people, I have to say. And then we get to the whole guest of honor situation. Honestly, he did tell her, like, I have no doubt you're going to be the guest of honor, and it was so implied, like, she is. It's obvious. So the guest of honor, like we mentioned, has to give up a secret, I believe, or a truth about themselves during the ceremony. And that whole ball situation, the whole happens at one of the demon prince's houses, and it happened at Gluttony's house. Now, throughout this entire book, I was like, where the hell is Pride? Like, Pride has to have some presence in it. Like, he was mentioned in the synopsis a bit. Like, they said 2 demon princes, 1 sister, or something like that. So I was like, when are we going to see some of him? And we literally saw him, I swear, for like 2 seconds. Like Amelia had like a 5-minute conversation with him, and then she's like, bye. So I was like, okay. Like, I think the one critique is that there was a little bit of buildup, a lot of emphasis that Pride was supposed to be like really integral to the story, but really he wasn't. But that's fine, because like they cleared that up, that he's not actually your betrothed that Wrath is, and that he's not the King of Demons, Wrath is. All these things that he was supposed to be, Wrath it really is. And the ball scene was cute. Apparently the princess had to wear like these wolf masks. There was like this hunt that went on. Wrath won, unsurprisingly. But the shocking thing was that during the ceremony of like the truth thing, Wrath came up and decided to take Amelia's place. And I was shocked. I was like so happy for that. And he was like, I'm willing to give up a secret of mine instead of her, in her place. And so then Pride comes out of nowhere, and this guy's like, you know what? We're not gonna do this whole truth saying like crap anymore. We're gonna make this interesting. How about you and your wifey go out and like have a tryst, they say. Tryst. And so let's be honest, us readers were like, yes, Prince of the Year, Pride all the way. You were setting them up for success here. Because we were waiting for them to consummate the marriage, and yet they haven't. But here's the thing, is that I actually like the fact that it was drawn out that they hadn't consummated it, because it was evident throughout, I guess, the first 3 quarters of the book that trust between them and wasn't there. Like, yes, Amelia could trust him, uncertain, believe him, but it was that innate connection they had was just a little disconnected at times, because they couldn't completely trust in one another. Amelia just wasn't in it at the time for the marriage because she wanted to save her sister. So then they go off and they're like supposedly supposed to consummate the marriage, and then that scene happens. The spicy scene. Hold up, I need to grab the book for this, because this part literally, actually there was two parts at the end of this book that made me want to throw this against the wall. For good reasons, though. Okay. This part. This is interesting. This is what Amelia says, and let me just read this out to you. I would give up almost anything to experience all of him right now, except my mission. What the hell are you thinking? Stop. Don't you dare. And then she goes on to get out and puts that little sleeping paralysis thing in his drink and betray the guy. Like, we're on such a good roll and you drop the bomb on us. Like, we know she clearly wanted to do it, but like, really? Like, and then we get to the part where she comes back to House Wrath, and Wrath clearly was aware she betrayed her. It was said like he felt anger and betrayal in his eyes. Oh my gosh, like what the hell, Amelia, are you serious? Okay, it's this part, and he's like, you don't need an invitation to join me, Amelia, unless of course you don't want to be in my company. I sought you out. I should think that indicates I want your company. After you drugged me to get me out of your bedchamber, I wonder if that changed. That it had nothing to do with you. It felt pretty personal given what had transpired between us. Like, that was a personal attack on Wrath. He was personally attacked. I was personally attacked. And you were probably personally attacked by this little incident here. And like, why? And then I bet she probably regretted it after finding out her sister's really orchestrating this entire shit show. Let's be real. So then we find out later Amelia went to go visit the crone and do that whole leafy thing, write his name down, and the bomb drops that his name is actually Samael. Literally, Samael, he's the king of demons. Wrath is like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? So honestly, I should have seen this coming because there were so many hints about this. The fact that she's actually betrothed to Wrath instead of Pride, that his court is the coldest out of all of the other ones, and he is like the most powerful figure in all of this. It's like, it just made so much sense. But like I said, my mind was just, it was not like focusing on that part of the story. I'm just gonna hold this. I need something to hold. And yeah, so we found out that, And then Amelia then goes to visit Antonio to kind of clear up the situation that Vittoria was actually the one orchestrating this whole thing. And then she gets another skull message, I think, or some kind of message where it says from Vittoria, "Come, sister, meet me at the shifting aisles as soon as possible so we can discuss what's going on." But she's like, you know what? I've put you first for so long, and to put him off for all this time, I'm gonna put you off and put him first for once. So I was like, yes, you go get Wrath and do your thing. So then we get to the part where she goes to visit like the Seven Sisters, and the crone was there, and then she asked for the wish, and they did all that stuff, whatever. But that's not the juicy details you want to hear. She then goes back to Wrath in his room, and then she's like, should I read it? Should I just honestly read it? Because like, this is the part where I really wanted to throw my book at the wall. Like, literally wanted to like, I'm not gonna read the last line because it's on video. But anyway. Okay, no, I actually shouldn't read it. That's a lot. Anyway, so we find out that Amelia comes back in. She's like, I have one more thing to do before leaving for the shifting aisles, and I have to go to House Wrath to finish it. And we all know what scene that is. The one we were literally waiting for this entire time. The one I've been ranting about this entire video. And what happens? She talks with Wrath. He's like, okay, you know, I've always been fine with it. I've been ready this entire time. Then she's like, then let's get it over with. And so I was expecting the very next chapter. At the end of the page, I was like, yes, we're going to see it. It's going to happen. It's going to be a good ending to this book. And what do I see? What do I freaking see? The acknowledgements page. So we get this part. You see it? And then what happens next? Boom. Like, I don't want to see the freaking acknowledgements. I want to see the next scene. But no, we don't get that. I want to know what happens next, okay? You can't expect me to wait 365 days just for one scene. But we all know what's going to happen. By the time the third book starts, it's not going to start off with that scene. There is no way. They're going to drag it out. Something's going to happen, and it's going to destroy me. So yeah, I think that concludes my entire rant of Kingdom of the Cursed and slightly Kingdom of the Wicked. It was a lot. When the third book comes out, I'll be sure to be ranting extremely and complaining happily and doing all that like amazing things that you're supposed to be doing when reviewing the books. Thankfully, it's the last book, so I don't have to wait anymore for like more things to come out. But that being said, I'm gonna be sad when it's over. Well, I hope there's more food in the book. They better get married for real. So thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, stay tuned for more reviews I'm gonna be doing next time. I think a reading vlog on Dune and kind of my thoughts and opinions and comparisons of the movie I watched as well. And future reviews of things like Once Upon a Broken Heart and things like that. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment on what you thought about this book, or these books in particular, because there is a lot to say about them. But for the most part, I am very satisfied, except for that last part, but whatever. We'll get over it soon. I won't. I don't think I will. Okay, I've dragged this out too long. I'll see you next time. Bye.